take a look at my mock-up for my solution here. So this pencil, that's going to be that dial, and we kind of know it's a little bit of an angle, right? So I went to a hardware store and got some miscellaneous hardware and put this together. And essentially what we're going to do is mount this in such a fashion so that it presses back on that dial and keeps even pressure. So when the switch actuates, it'll actually, instead of deflecting it, it'll keep this straight and it can push that plunger in. And I needed a way to have this thing floating, so I needed to find a small spring here. And shout out to my lovely wife, she found this at the hardware store. So there's all kinds of different repair kits for faucets. If you ever need like a miscellaneous spring or some rubber washers or something, go check out the plumbing section. That was a really good find. Did a little testing here, so I just took a Sharpie, held it in the spot that I think I want that acorn nut, and then when I shifted it, I can see exactly keeping that spot right on that dial, no problem. So now we just got to mount it up. Okay, there's that acorn nut installed. It's in park, probe's hooked up. Let's put it in reverse. Neutral. Back in reverse. Back in the park. So now we got a functioning switch. And what's interesting is if you see in there that inhibitor, it's centered now, right on that dial where we wanted it to be. And we got that acorn nut right on our black line that we made earlier. So I think we could call this a success. Since I got everything open, I went a step further, removed the inhibitor switch, and I got a lot of questions about contact cleaner and dielectric grease, so I'll kind of show you the process a little bit. So get your contact cleaner. What you're going to do is you're going to want to go through and spray all of the openings on the switch. So this is a plunger on this side, and then the socket on the back side. Just fill it up. And then this is quick drying stuff, but kind of tap it and get any junk out of there. See that junk? I'm going to go ahead and do that again on the front here. So it's all carbon and just dirt and gunk coming out of there. And we'll go ahead and we'll clean that off. Let me take this, jam that off. Hit it another time. You can kind of test it. You can feel it's binding a little bit, but got a lot of junk out of there. It's pretty clean now. Most of that's residual, just gunk and dirt. Okay, and then we take our favorite dielectric grease. Just gonna fill that up a little bit, like that. And then on this side, put a little on the plunger side, give it a couple pushes. This one looks so you can kind of spin it a little bit. There. Activating really good, and then when we make our connection on this side, there's your clean switch. Okay, here's another tech tip. This is for all the Jaguar owners. So putting these bolt connectors in can kind of be a pain. They usually come apart pretty easily, but putting them together, you gotta be really careful not to damage this wire. The best way I found to do this is if you take a crescent wrench, you can just get it to the point where it goes on the outside of the wire and the barrel. Just give it a little pressure and then push it right in. There you go. No damage to the wire. Okay, so let's talk wire repair. So the one on the left here is one I had already fixed partially, and this one on the right here, I'm going to show you what I do. So never use serrated pliers on any copper wire. Don't use them. It'll damage the wires more. Instead, you want to use smooth pliers, or even tweezers work. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to just gently pull on those strands and just get it so that it's straighter. You don't want to pull them out, but you can see something that actually fell off. And then once it's kind of squished, just take your fingers, and all you're doing is you're just gently pushing it all together and bundling it. Then you gotta take some wire strippers, and I recommend these automatic strippers. And you want to get into position where you can strip about 3/16 of an inch of insulation off. So let's get into there. There's like fresh copper. So now I'll show you what we're going to do to reinforce this. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to tin these wires. Take a little bit of flux, put on both wires. A bit of solder. These wires are really old, so they're oxidized. These wires are really oxidized, so we're going to add a little more flux. There we go. Both sides. This bottom one looks really good. You can see the solder on the strands there. That's going to give it some added strength when we go to clamp it back down. This one here is still not looking great, so let me clean it off and work on it a little bit more. Okay, there they are, trimmed and all cleaned up, and to get that flux off in a pinch you can use, that's right, contact cleaner. It works really well on flux. If you do this work, I definitely recommend investing in some precision tools for cutting and gripping wires like this. If you use your normal hand tool, sometimes you can do more damage than actually helping yourself out. So let's put everything back together, clean it up, and we'll do a final check and make sure everything's working. Okay, finishing the reverse light install here. So the original bulb, you can actually still buy replacements for. They're a filament bulb, but I recommend upgrading to LED, especially on older cars where you have plastic lenses that are prone to damage from heat. You also got to check any circuitry that is, affected by a change in current. Sometimes, you update turn signals to LED and the flashers don't work well because it doesn't have enough power draw. But for this circuit, it's just a switch and some line going straight to it. So upgrading LED will not be an impact. All right, contacts cleaned, dielectric grease applied, some grease on the bulb, and then tech tip. You can take a zip tie, wrap it around the center of the bulb, and that'll help you install it.